Today I got these two mystery devices at a flea market. Paid €25. That's a lot of money, but I got curious. The upper one of the two is probably not that much of a mystery device. It does appear to be a bench power supply. However, the specifications and the exact functionality is unknown because, well, it's not labeled aside from the two outputs. This does seem to have two output voltages. The lower one of the two, I have absolutely no idea what it is. Total mystery. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at this. To make things a bit more exciting, we're going to start with the not so much a mystery device, the bench power supply. Funny thing is, a couple of years ago, I bought another bench power supply at a flea market that uses the exact same case. As you can see, now the upper one is kind of yellowed. It was owned by a smoker. Anyway, let's put this to the side again and pop the cover on this one. See what's inside. Good news. Unlike some of the other bench power supplies that I got at flea markets over the years, this one actually seems to be quite usable as it is, provided it works. I have not plugged it in yet. Really simple. We have two LM317 voltage regulator circuits, just a standard circuit that you find in the data sheet with the protection diodes in place. Power switch is in the back, which is kind of inconvenient, and it's kind of broken. Oh well, now that I'm recording it, of course it works, but it was kind of messed up a couple of moments ago. So I'll have to change that. We do have a primary fuse. Rather interesting looking transformer. Rectifier bridges. I'd like to replace these filter capacitors. They are from 1981 Fraco brand capacitors, which are known to fail. And then we have really quite some messy wiring. Reason being, we have two outputs, but only one pair of voltmeter and ammeter. So this upper switch is switching the voltmeter from one input to the other. And this switch, which is really quite an interesting safety type switch, that switches the ammeter. How that exactly works, I'm not sure. Of course, switching the ammeter is not as simple as switching the voltmeter, because you actually have to have the current passing through this rather than just hooking it up in parallel to the output like you do with a voltmeter. So anyway, this is kind of a weird safety switch. You have to pull it, and then you can switch it. And it does have a center position. So this is kind of strange. It seems like this is actually a replacement switch because it does have this washer around it. So I'd say this covers up a bigger hole that would have originally held one of these switches. Anyway, let's go ahead and plug this in, see what happens. And the moment of truth. Okay. It did jump to life, which means that the power switch is wired up incorrectly. I like to have the on position up, not down. It seems to switch it off, so power switch is working. Let's turn it on again. Okay, let's see. Let's try to. Okay, this is close to maximum. This is close to maximum. Voltmeter is not showing anything. Oh, okay, so we have to, that's interesting. Okay, so we can adjust the voltage. Yeah, the potentiometer needs to be cleaned. It's kind of scratchy, as you can see. So we actually have to put both switches into the same position to get this to work. That's kind of interesting. Watching the previous scene that I just recorded, I noticed both potentiometers are wired up in reverse, so the voltage goes up as you turn them down. So I'll definitely have to change that. Anyway, I now have my resistive load hooked up, configured to be 8 ohms. So let's turn this on and see what happens. Okay, we already get a bit of current, so let's, oh yes. We do get the full, well, scratchy control, but we do get 1 ampere. That's the maximum that this meter can display. If I, okay, so this is definitely a design flaw. It seems if you switch from one meter to the other, you can hear by the hum of the transformer. That's the load activated. If I now switch to the other meter, it seems to cut off the output. So that's not what this is supposed to be. So I'll definitely have to change that, because you can't really do much with 2 outputs if only the one that is selected on the meters is active. Let's go and try the second output. Turn on power. Nothing happens because I don't have the right output selected. So let's do that. Okay, well, that works as well. This transformer is really humming quite a bit, so I don't think this power supply is going to be able to handle the full 1 amp output current on both outputs simultaneously. Now, at the moment that does not work anyways, but anyway, would be nice to have that functionality eventually. Okay, so I'd say the bench power supply is good, is usable. I will have to change these switches. I do want to have the ability to use both outputs at the same time, even if they might not be able to supply the full 1 amp of output current. I also want to replace these capacitors, although they still appear to be fine. So anyway, this is definitely going to be a future project.